Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Freedom Network. I'm your host, Renelle. Welcome back. So today I want to bring up to speed anybody that may have missed the previous videos. So what we talked about previously was family reunions. So I talked about having that strong family connection, finding out about your family history, understanding your lineage, where you came from, your ancestors, understanding what type of descendants you are, all of that, right? So we talked about that because once you know where you came from, then you can understand more about where you're going, okay? Because you need to know who you are and whose you are in order to go forward, right? And then after that, we talked about once you get all that information together, you research, do your history search. So now you know who you are. And remember, I told you got to be careful because the enemy always comes the minute your self-esteem is up and you feeling good about yourself. You know who you are. You standing on business. And now all of a sudden, so you decide, okay, let me get back to my life plan. So then we talked about living a life by design and not default, right? We talked about that. And we talked about the fact that even if you are living a life by default, if you've, had to take some detours, ran into a couple roadblocks, that was okay because in everything, God is there. He's always with us. Sometimes he takes us off our journey so that we can learn. So we talked about that, the importance of that. So don't be discouraged. Whatever it is you want to do or you've been called to do, get back to that plan. Get back to that design. And remember, live the life that you design or that God designed for you. Okay? Because you have favor there. God is going to bless you. He's going to give you everything you need to be able to do that. So after that, and then I also said, because, God had already showed me what I would be going through. People are going to say, well, who do they think they are? Who you think you are? What qualifies you, right? So, and again, I told you then the things we're going to tell them, or like in my case, what qualifies me? Favor, first of all. Favor, the call on my life, and the assignment that God has given me. But also, besides that, research, all the research, all the training that I've obtained, that qualifies me. So you make sure you let them know what qualifies you, okay? And if we know nothing else, we know experience qualifies you more than anything, okay? Because once you're experienced at something, you can talk about it, right? You can share that. So, and that's what this is about, sharing our experiences with others and hope to help free them. So today, again, when they come and say, who you think you are, when they can't get you with that, then they're going to come and try to throw your past up at you, because now you living good, you doing right, you back on that journey. You done came off that detour. Now you back on the journey. You rolling, you doing everything you're supposed to do. Then you're going to have somebody come up and try to tell you, oh, I remember when you used to do this, or I remember she used to be this, or he used to be that. Because see, what they try to do, and I didn't realize this at first, because I've been in groups and, I've been in conversations, I'll say, where people were like constantly bringing up people's past. And, I didn't think it was nothing wrong because, I'm just like, okay, well, we know our past, it wasn't anything bad or negative that I thought. But what I realized later is that usually when you're doing good and you're on a high and somebody comes and try to bring up your past, they're basically trying to tell you, you think you all of that. Let me remind you where you come from. And you don't need nobody around you like that because that's not a friend. That's not a loved one because I'm past that. We're going to talk about something. And that brings me to my t-shirt. On my shirt, it says used to. Used to is a verb. And it says used to is something I used to do that I don't do no more. Someone that I used to be that I am not anymore. And then it also says, so stop bringing up my past. Let's talk about my present and my future because it's so much brighter. Okay? And then, well, you probably can't even see it because, yeah, the way I'm sitting. But then at the bottom, it says, see also, forgiven and redeemed. There is no need to be talking about my past because my past is in the past. If I did something bad in my past, guess what? I'm forgiven. Guess what? I'm redeemed, which means God has covered me. He has forgiven me. He has thrown whatever I did in the sea of unforgetfulness. And Jesus has paid the price. So, baby, we ain't even got to discuss that no more, okay? We can talk about this present, though. We can talk about this future. We can talk about this present, the things that I'm doing right now that you see that I'm doing. We can talk about this future, the places that I'm heading to. You know, let's talk about that. We're not talking about no past because used to is past tense, okay? It's a past tense verb that is no longer relevant, okay? So again, don't let them tell you that you're not qualified. Don't let them ask you who you think you is. Because what made me think about this was the fact that somebody had told me, they was like, you doing all this talking now. You done just came all out the box. I remember when you used to be shy. You know what I took that as? They was basically saying, we liked you better quiet. Oh, now you talking a lot. You got a lot to say. I remember, what you remembering when I used to be quiet for, or I used to be shy? Shy is irrelevant, honey, because I am everything but shy these days. So we don't even need to talk about that. So again, put people in their proper place. Because speaking of places, baby, we got places to go, okay? We have a life to live, a life that we've designed, a life that you were born to. You were born for. So again, hey, tell them ain't no used to. Used to nothing. Thank you. I just had to tell y'all that because that just touched me. Yeah, used to. No, not anymore. Present tense, future tense. You got this.